You know, Wayne's World is really, at the end of the day, Lacey, it's a story of paradise lost. It's the Garden of Eden, isn't it? Wayne and Garth, they're Adam and Eve.
Got it.
They let the snake into the garden. They let Rob Lowe into the garden.
They did.
And Wayne is the one who wants to eat the apple. Garth is fine. Garth is like, we could do this forever. I am so happy we live in paradise. And Wayne also thinks it's paradise, but he's also like, I'd really like to do Wayne's World for a living and move out of my parents' basement. And so he lets that fucking snake into the garden.
Do you think it'd be paradise, though, if they got about 10 years older and were still in their living situation?
Yes.
Still girlfriendless? How? I think these guys are only
But Wayne gets girlfriends.
Yes, but they don't last. He's not reaching any more milestones. I'm saying if your show never gets out of your basement and your home never becomes your own, I do not think that these same two guys are cool 10 years from now. And I think why it's paradise is in part due to the social acceptance of them when they go out and party.
Well, that's why they're like, so it's not actually the Garden of Eden, because it's like, this is the Garden of Eden like 30 years after the snake's already been there. Like their barbarians are already at the gate. They created this thing that's pure and beautiful and makes people happy. And they go out in their car and they go through their little paradise that is Aurora, Illinois, and they go to the donut shop and it's packed with metal people and they're so happy to see them. And they're like, you do Wayne's World. That's great. I love it.
So I think what you're hitting on here is a moment in time where like the balance of everything is pretty awesome for these guys. And something's going to tip it one way or the other, and getting a new relationship is probably one of those things that happens. They probably had another good 2 years of this perfect harmony if they really wanted it. But they also seem to like to have sex, and so that leads to relationships.
The poison though here is we've created something that people love and it's popular. In a just world, that would be enough. We would be compensated for it, or we'd have a society that values that and not say like, well, if you really want it to make money, it has to be bastardized and corporatized and become this other thing. But they already live in the neoliberal hell of 1992. Yeah. They just don't realize it yet.
I also feel like it's one of those things where you think you would love something if you could do that thing you love all the time, but you inevitably turn it into something that has to make you money. So you have to be either getting better at it or keeping up with what you've already achieved. It all just becomes a race against yourself. So like how you only drink on Fridays and Saturdays, the fact that they only get to do Wayne's World because it's like a passion thing and it's not their job and they get to do it after their job and they look forward to it probably is what makes it really special and what gives them creative like energy and ideas. And just saying, like doing it full time, well, you've just turned it into a job, so it's going to lose something.
It would look, well, I think to them, it's like we do this on Friday nights and apparently it's well known enough that they're like, oh yeah, all the kids like this show. And again, I just keep returning to, if we had a different society that just where people are like, we just created something beautiful and lovely, that should be enough. But there's no avenue. Like we don't have a country that like funds the media because they do it on public access TV. Yeah. So they don't have to pay for it. Or maybe they do, but it's like they don't have to have commercials. I just, watching the movie again between now and when we recorded our history, I realized this is so obvious. The discussion of money and commercialism is in like every single scene in the movie. It's even in places I didn't notice. And Brian Doyle-Murray as the as Mr. Vanderhoff, it describes his game and it's like it's about a gelatinous cube that devours villages. And it's like, oh, that's the whole story of this movie. Is the gelatinous cube is coming for you.
Nothing can stay pure, even the purest people like Garth.
Yeah.
And his Reebok.
Speaking of Brian Doyle-Murray, his is the first voice we hear. What a great voice. Like, Noah's Arcade, come on down. But it's a commercial. And we start with commercials. We're just flipping through the television commercials.
Well, and he's a great example of how he has no passion for what he does. He just fell into it for the most cynical reasons and just to exploit people like Wayne and Garth. He did it just for that.
Right. He's like, I own arcades. And you're like, oh, arcades, what a lovely thing to think about. The pure joy of childhood going to arcades. Like, I own a chain of arcades and I give video games to little piggies.
They're just little monkeys and they pump the quarters in. Freaking like he doesn't even get like what joy comes out of an arcade. He doesn't even understand that it's like a place to commune when you're under a certain age and that you can actually get real joy out of being good at something like an arcade game, it's just not his generation, man. He just sees little idiots pumping money into a money box.
And now from 2025, we look at this and we're like, I'm sorry, a chain of arcades could exist?
That sounds fucking
Whereas
awesome.
in 1992, they're like, this is disgusting that the arcade, the once great independent American institution, has now become so corporate. But
Can you think of an arcade chain?
No.
I guess it'd have to be local.
Like Chuck E. Cheese. Like,
yeah, but it's amusements. That's a little bit more than arcade. Yeah, it just feels like it would have to be a local thing where there's like 2 or 3 max. You know, not even sprawling states, really.
But like Wayne and Garth, the reason I backtracked on the Garden of Eden, their world is already crumbling. The things that they want are still like consumption oriented. Like Wayne really desires the Fender.
Yeah.
When what you desire is just consumer products, they're only ever going to get worse. And crucially, the Fender he wants is a Fender from 1964, 1 year before Fender was bought by a bigger corporation and stopped producing good guitars, started doing assembly line production of their guitars. Cassandra says this.
Okay, but so he wants something pure like what he already has. It
Yes.
seems like Wayne, he's driven by capitalism-ish, but it seems like he's reaching backwards to the better moment, that other moment in time.
Yes.
Where they reached their apex and then got so good they went and sold themselves.
Right. There's never, but in that system, you can never actually stop it. There's never, you can
can't
never be
just
like
stay.
freeze.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
you'll always be talked into the fact that you're not really reaching your potential if this is what you're doing.
Yes. So this movie's great. Okay. So they're watching.
This was a journey. We haven't even started on
they're watching commercials.
fucking
And again,
plot.
it's very key. The movie starts with commercials. And it's commercials
and
for...
empty sex. Okay, sorry.
Well, Rob Lowe as Benjamin, this woman's like, it's really good to see you, Benjamin. You haven't been to Shakey's in so long.
Well, you see her Shakey's uniform on the chair. She
Yeah,
dresses like a fucking clown.
Yeah, and Shakey's is a pizza chain. So even that is like this commercialized, like the classic family pizza parlor now corporatized and commodified.
And there's the pizza on the bed. So you've got to think like he also wanted free pizza. He wanted the sex and the pizza.
they see the commercial for the Chia Pet and for the Clapper. And I realized like,
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's all of those little fad things. It's all the things that, I'm sorry, I thought you were hitting on something. I thought you were hitting on a point.
No,
That
yeah.
it's specifically everything that was like hyped in that moment and now is completely, it was laughable even then. It wasn't even taken seriously. It's just, hey, we can put this plant in the shape of a human head. So maybe buy it.
and the Clapper is like, Siri and Gemini and everything, like that is not that much of an iteration on the Clapper, which people bought and then realized this is useless. If it works, I realize this isn't any more convenient of me just desperately first time I ever went to our friend Patrick Perot's house when as a teenager, he had his family was having birthday cake for him and he invited me over and I went in and I met his family and then I went to the bathroom and then I came out and I was like, Patrick, where's the flusher on your toilet? And he said, and he's like, why'd you say? I'm like, where's the flusher? So that his whole family hears. And he's like, it's a Clapper. And I
A
was like,
Clapper toilet?
and I go back in and I seriously clap. And I was like, no, it's not. And he's like, nah, you idiot.
Oh, I fucking hate you, Patrick, for that. It's your first time at the house.
All right. They see
Sweet. So where was it?
it was like on top of the toilet tank. You pull it up.
Oh,
It looked like a decoration.
idiot child.
So yeah, finally they land on Wayne's World, and then we transition into Wayne's World. Tell us about Wayne and Garth, Lacey.
Well, when I was a kid, I used to think they were kind of mean, but I found them very funny. And now I realize that, they are ultimate Gen X, all about not selling out, not being a poser. You're pure, man. Exactly what you're saying, right? So they have on squares to do interviews and under the false pretense that they're going to help them promote their product. But maybe sometimes they do, maybe sometimes they just want to like feel it out. If this is good, I'll tell you it's good. If this is a vacuum hair cutting device that's about to scalp my friend, I'm going to say it sucks.
And you thought they were mean because they make fun of the
Yeah.
people they have on?
Yeah, I was like, why invite him over if you're just gonna be mean to him? Because he seems sad when he leaves.
Yeah, I guess.
The suck it. I never noticed it was called the suck it.
The
I mean,
suck
I
cut.
did. Suck cut. Okay, sorry. Okay, that I knew. But I feel like I'm not just. If you've never seen Wayne's World, I don't think you'd be listening to this episode. But just two look like early 20s, definitely past high school age. Best friends sitting on in a furnished basement that it's their set, but it doesn't appear that they made it into a set. It's just exactly what a furnished basement would look like in Aurora, on bad couches and stuff. And
I can't believe there wasn't a Paramount Plus Wayne's World prequel series in 2021. How did they get a TV
Especially
show?
with the popularity of Stranger Things and how much time they spend in their basement that looks just like this. It's just low hanging fruit. Little tiny Wayne and Garth, like just doing Dungeons and Dragons and playing air guitar. You know, I've always found it interesting that Wayne clearly plays instruments, so does Garth, and they never ever hint at or talk about having ever been in a band. But they both very much care to be good at their instruments, or like it's not a joke. That I just think it's interesting to have somebody that cares a lot about music and playing music and never has any plans of being in a band or ever was in one.
I know, and Wayne plays guitar and Garth plays drums, and then they bring in their third, Cassandra, who plays bass. And the first time I saw this movie, I was like, wait, that movie's not going to put that puzzle together? It seems like that's where this is going. Or like Cassandra's band like leaves her at the end and they need, who am I going to get to fill in for me? It's really surprising.
You're so right. You're so, well, I mean, I think Wayne and Garth really do know what they have, and they get it back, right? Like, I think they immediately realize, no, it was right the way that it was.
As Rob Lowe is watching this on TV, he's like, I will acquire this. Let me make a phone call to my corporate partner.
To his fucking credit, he does see it, though. He does see the potential. He seems to get something. I mean, why trust this one bimbo? Sorry, Lady Shakies, but why trust this one woman's opinion so much that you're going to like try to get a client you've been trying to get more out of based on it? You know, he seems to have an eye for what he can exploit. He sees two guys he can manipulate, and they seem to have some kind of charisma.
Right, you're right. It is not just I see suckers. It's like, well, yeah, there's something here.
Yeah.
There's something here.
With a little bit of
what it is.
My spit shining and a little bit of speaking Cantonese in front of the lady, I'll figure it out. I'll get it going.
So we see the house that Wayne lives in, that they had to see 70 other houses before they pick the perfect one. And then he comes out and like addresses the camera. If you're somebody who's only watched SNL up until this point, you're like, oh my God, he left the basement. But this is not a fake documentary. It's mostly a normal movie, but Wayne and Garth can speak directly into the camera and the camera will move. And there is an implied cameraman, but most of the movie is just shot like a normal movie. And I like that there's no attempt at all to explain any of that.
Right. Back to the bass playing thing. Sorry, I never noticed until this rewatching how many times they mentioned the bass player, bass. Like, and then I was just thinking, is this a dig? I mean, bass players get shit all the time. They seem to be like the replaceable member of a band in some cases. Are they picking on her being a lady?
No, okay. I think it's
she does some good bass. Like there are bass moments in all of her songs, so I figure like they're celebrating her, and her singing is insane.
I think that I don't know. This is why I was so thinking wouldn't you have her play guitar, because that's just the default is I play guitar,
right?
And obviously there are tons of bass players who are the lead singers.
But it is it's a very specific, if you're just going to do default, that's not default. So either it was based on somebody that like Wayne actually had in mind, or maybe they were planning on doing something with the three of them doing a show, even if it was just in their heads, and just thought, nah, cheesy or predictable. Like had it to set it up if they wanted it, but didn't need it.
And she does a good job of faking playing bass.
But is she singing?
I don't know. I didn't look that up.
I mean, but those are so specific, amazing vocals. Like they have to belong to someone, and that person should also be famous. I don't know anyone that sings like that.
Tina Carrere sang all her own vocals on the song she performed in the film, including a cover of Sweet's Ballroom Blitz. Despite never playing bass before, she had to learn 4 songs on the instrument in just 3 weeks.
Wow. Did she have a singing career? Because her singing is amazing.
She is a trained singer,
but also a screamer. It's just unique.
2-time Grammy-winning singer.
Okay.
She won a Grammy in 2009 for her 3rd album, Ikena, and her 2010 album.
Did she sing it in her a native language or something?
Monica Aloha. Maybe it was. She's Hawaiian. And I mean, born in Honolulu.
We need to have a whole episode about her. I am fascinated.
So we live in Aurora, Illinois. It's a suburb of Chicago. Excellent. And he explains he'd really love to do Wayne's World for a living.
And he says he has had a lot of jobs, and they're all kind of in the fast food stuff. But we have no hint of a job for either of them throughout this movie.
And then Garth and the camera crew pull up in Garth's car, which weren't they already there? I don't know.
Right.
But they just all hang out together all the time. They're just all a group of best friends, and all they do is work together and have fun together. And they put in the Bohemian Rhapsody tape. And
this was my introduction to Queen. It's probably a lot of kids.
Sure.
I don't know. I didn't have parents cool enough to be sharing Queen with me. Maybe it wasn't their generation. I didn't realize this till I was older how old-fashioned my dad's music tastes were. My dad almost exclusively only gave me music from the 60s to listen to. Mm-hmm. And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's not his generation, is it? Well, you know what? He was 13 years older than my dad. Fuck, maybe it was.
He was your dad.
Okay.
He was not 13 years older than your dad.
My mom.
Okay, so he would have been born in the 40s. Yeah, that would have been his generation.
Okay.
Is he? Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those factoids. Like Joe Biden is too old for the Beatles. That I love.
So weird. Yeah. Okay. He was a greaser. He always told me he was. I don't know why I thought. I guess because my mom was a decade later.
Well, you know what they say about Bohemian Rhapsody here is like Bohemian Rhapsody was a super famous song, but maybe it was that like it was at a low point in its popularity, and this movie brought it back.
Oh.
Or what they say about like "Don't Stop Believin'" in the Sopranos finale in 2007.
Oh, that's crazy.
That was like a song that was like, oh yeah, I love that song, and that made it like explode again. But hey, remember that great scene in the Bohemian Rhapsody movie where Mike Myers himself plays an evil record executive who did not exist, who heard Bohemian Rhapsody and told Queen, nobody's ever going to bang their heads to this song.
Shut the fuck up.
And then he stares into the camera for 30 seconds.
That did not happen.
Yes, it does.
What about I'm in love with my car?
You're joking. Oh, Jesus.
I love that. Well, that's the kind of song teenagers can crank up the volume in their car and bang their heads to. Bohemian Rhapsody will never be that song.
Oh my God. I'm glad I black everything out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when I saw the fake Queen band in 2019,
The fake Queen band?
the one that had only 2 members of Queen in it.
Yeah.
When they did Bohemian Rhapsody, they just played footage of the opera part. They didn't sing it live. Isn't that bogus?
Fucking lame. You could give people jobs. God forbid. I'm sure there's local opera singers everywhere who definitely practice with that.
So, I mean, what good scene. It's fun. It's exuberant. There's such joy. This is great. And it captures, you know, me as a teenager. This really speaks to me. Finally, I'm represented.
Oh, yeah.
Because as a teenager, all I did for fun, instead of doing drugs and drinking, which I should have done, I just drove around with my straight edge friends and we listened to music together in the car and like sang our hearts out.
You guys were straight edge on purpose? Or
No,
like you just were?
It wasn't like our identity. It was just
Okay. Because
never occurred to us to do bad things.
Okay.
But no,
so I would have definitely thought this was the idea of Wayne or Garth, sorry, Dana or Michael. So go by Mike. We'll say Mike. But you said earlier that this was actually the director's idea, or it was that Mike Myers did not like the way she directed this scene, not that it was her idea.
No, I don't think it was her idea, but no, I think it was his idea, and he went and got permission.
Didn't want a headbang? Like, so what was he going to do? Just stand there stiff while the headbanging part
I'm sure
commenced?
it was somebody's telling you, okay, no, headbang this way, and he's done it a bunch of times. And like, I don't want to do it anymore.
It fucking hurts. Do you remember what it feels like to come back after a concert the next day as a young person and have pulled all the muscles in the back of your neck? Maybe you've never head banged.
I did headbang.
Yeah, but not your ankylosing spondylitis probably prevented you from doing like the super.
No, I could super bang.
I fucking doubt it. Or I guess you're just a strong stallion.
Well, they stop at the guitar store so Wayne can look in at the Fender Strat, and then he speaks to the
will be
camera.
mine.
Yeah. And Garth is like, he does this every Friday.
Live in the know.
So they really are like living like teenagers because their world is so small that the thing he covets the most in the world is an instrument at their shitty local music store. And he could never even fathom being able to buy it.
See, but even you are kind of picking on it, right? Like if it's this beautiful little perfect heaven that they're in, should he want anything bigger and beyond
No, I know.
those walls?
It's true. That is, yes, I am the perfect neoliberal subject. I am perfectly, even if I think the world sucks, I still cannot fathom a different kind of world. And so I'm like, you small potatoes guy, go to Chicago. It's only an hour away. There's a bigger music store there with all kinds of guitars.
All right, but why move the goalpost?
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't even reached this one.
This is they really are. They go to Stan Mikita's donut shop, which is just the most happening place in town. Just cool people with long hair hanging out in cars in the parking lot like it's the 1950s, having a great time. And it is just a donut and coffee shop themed after a hockey player.
Yes, and just the loveliest little weird relationship between young youth and cop.
Yeah. Who seems like he's going to give them a hard time. And he's like, hey, Wayne.
But
Gamble.
he's really into body cavity searches.
Well, yeah.
That part was a little rough. I guess it hit a little different watching it whenever he does go to pull Rob Lowe over. Like, okay, did we need that part? I don't know.
Dan Mikita was a Slovak hockey player who spent his entire career with the Chicago Blackhawks, and he is indeed one of the best hockey players of all time, but it is supposed to be a joke. A restaurant is named after this guy, and it has a giant statue of him that spins on the roof. It's amazing.
It's so Canadian, I didn't get it.
And they get out of their cars as Bohemian Rhapsody ends. It's coda at the end. And it is like they are ascending to Valhalla as they get out. And people are like, Wayne's World.
Party.
They do the thing with the officer. And it seems like they have this adversarial relationship. But he's just like, he's still nice to them. He's like, yeah, I get it. I used to tell cops they were big pigs too. Anyway,
sweet.
That's that. Yeah, and that's also why Rob Lowe is so easily he's able to so easily penetrate their world because everybody's nice and sweet.
I thought you were
and
making
loves
a
them so
fucking
much.
cavity search joke.
Oh no. Ed O'Neill plays Glenn, the manager of the diner.
Who's clearly a Vietnam vet or something. He's seen some shit.
I think he is not a Vietnam vet, but he feels like he is. He feels like he went through his own personal Vietnam.
Yeah, he's dark.
Yeah. And he's like, why is it if a man kills another man in battle, it's called heroic, but if a man kills another man in the heat of passion, it's murder. It's hilarious. Wayne explains only he and Garth can talk to the camera. But Garth is like, but I don't have much to say. What else happens here, Lacey?
So this is where we get to meet Stacy, who I fucking love every time she comes in. Stacy is Hose Beast, the psycho ex-girlfriend.
Lara Flynn Boyle from Twin Peaks.
Yes, this is where she presents Wayne with a gun rack, yet he does not own a gun. And we also find out that. And this doesn't get old. Like, there's a lot of little gimmicks throughout the movie. This is where we know that Garth has a crush on this impossibly beautiful looking waitress. And every time he sees her, he hears music or songs or whatever. What else did we find out?
No, you're right. The gimmicks, hearing Dreamweaver whenever he sees Cassandra or the classical music whenever he sees this woman.
Yeah, and then his foxy dance. None of it's bad because these are very professional, distinct, interesting comedians. These are two very strong comedians leading this movie. So they have very different styles, and it switches between them well.
But what happened? Like in the Austin Powers sequels, what happens? He just keeps returning to the well again and again and again. And this movie has the restraint that none of these individual things wear out their welcome.
Yeah,
you're not like Dreamweaver again. I get it.
Right, and that's they don't spend too much time in any one place in any one conversation. It's like a ton of tiny skits that all weave perfectly together. But yeah, the Stacy stuff is awesome because she never gets upset. She just keeps coming. She's just so fun to pick on and to laugh at because no matter what, she's like, ha ha ha. Like you can't hurt her, so it's okay. It's fun to watch her someone be mean to her.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, just because we broke up doesn't mean we can't still go out.
It does actually. This is one of the things I noticed and I understood in a new way. He's like, get the net, and I was like, I thought. And it might still just mean like get the net. Like I know it means catch on, but then I was like, oh, is he talking about the internet? Like
no,
do some research.
No. It'd been like
get the net.
Catch her in a net. She's a loon.
Oh,
take her back to the loony bin.
Okay, got you. Damn it. All right. Well, so I knew I didn't. What I knew is that I didn't know it then, and I was right because just learned it now. I was today years old. All right. Now they're going to the gasworks, which has the coolest fucking piled up car statue thing I've ever seen in my life. That has to be a real place. Where we're going to go see Crucial Tot for the first time. Very cool band name, I will say. And they give you a rundown of we see Meatloaf. He's the doorman. He's going to tell you who's playing. The Jolly Green Giants and the Shitty Beatles. Are they any good? They suck. All right. And Cassandra is wailing her ass off. Every song she sings is perfection. They shoot it really well. You're weaving in and out of the nightclub. And when he's talking, you can hear him. And when we're focusing on the band, we hear them perfectly. We see them perfectly.
Well, they established the thing with Garth can't get by the big guy. So then he goes to the car and they play the Mission Impossible theme. And it's introducing Garth is like a hacker and a tech guy.
Garth likes gadgets. Yes. And he's smart. He's a thinker. Right. And he's the one who figures out Benjamin right away.
And if you're saying he's autistic, it's like, well, autistic people love tinkering, don't they?
I'm saying, yeah, it's a heavy-handed, coded, antisocial, doesn't know what to say, but he's very intelligent, and it's.
I think it works in this movie, but
I
is
do
the
too.
thing I would point to is like they don't really know what to do with Garth, so they'll give him. He'll figure out the tech stuff.
He has gimmicks, but don't you think that it might have been Dana Carvey trying to weave in some of his ideas, and maybe he just didn't have the strong personality enough to make sure it was woven in just so. Like, it's like, here's a skit. Lauren Michaels would know what to do with this. This is the idea I have. I want it in the movie. Mike got his thing. I want this thing. And because he's not pushing and not like up the ass of the director, it gets it's a little shoehorned in.
Mm-hmm, maybe.
I'll call her and ask.
When she is playing Cassandra, they're playing Let Me Stand Next to Your Fire. Now, I mean, Wayne is like, this is the coolest metal bar in town. And they have a pool table. But like, this is not metal at all. I know that's probably
this
the
is
joke.
hair band.
But they're playing a Jimi Hendrix song and like everybody's really nice and sweet, and I don't know. It's like a Disney metal club.
I guess.
But
there's people drinking and kung fu fighting.
That's true. So they're going nuts for this band, and as they leave the stage, some people get into a fight and spill beer on Cassandra as she walks by, and she's like, "Hey!" and then she kicks ass.
Overreacting. Okay, you just kicked with heels on. That person's going to the hospital. But of course, as a kid, I was like, "That was amazing."
Yes, and you know who else says that? Wayne, because I think this is we were talking.
She will be mine.
We were talking off mic about, do you think it being a woman directed by a woman is probably why there aren't as many like poorly aging like homophobic jokes or any or stuff or sexist jokes? And I think like you're probably entirely right. And maybe Mike Myers' notes about cuts were like, hey, you didn't include all the F slurs and stuff.
Or like my boner humor more, or like how much I went swing to her. I mean, this is when she says the stupid thing about kung fu fighting, which is really insensitive. She still has an accent, so she's clearly first generation, and people probably always fetishize her and probably always have ideas for her that don't make sense with her personality, or people are probably constantly underestimating her. And Wayne's a nice guy, and Wayne has good intentions, and still he fucking steps in it. Mm-hmm. But he notices, and this movie does a great correction.
Yeah, and he feels bad about it, and he realizes he fucked up, and he's going to try to make it up to her. But he sees this woman kick ass, and he's like, that's awesome. That's sexy.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't at all diminish he is never macho. That is not his thing. Like, that you'd never see this guy in a bar fight, and that's like, it makes him so likable.
It's cool that
this
my girlfriend can kick ass.
Of macho-ness, yes. Mm-hmm. And the silliness, the stuff he does in the bedroom. I had never seen that in my life. And it was like the most realistic bedroom scene I think I've seen in a movie. It's what people do. They're dumb together. We'll get there.
You want me to be doing that more? More bits?
I want you to be you, and that's what you are.
Okay, yeah. I'm not.
just get to that part.
When we
and
get
then
to that part,
then you
we'll
can
get to
cry.
that part. Well, so he does the kung fu fighting thing. He kind of bombs. I honestly didn't really notice that he acknowledged it, or I didn't read it that way, and then watched it the second time and realized, no, that's exactly what just happened. And
Yep.
like you said, that is why he then throws himself into
Yes,
learning Cantonese.
because it was going well, and she's unspeakably hot. And I remember as a kid thinking, how would he ever get her? Like, it seems so preposterous to me, because I realize they're not like on the same level of hotness. But then watching it now, I'm like, yeah, he'd stand out. He's nice. He's funny. He's interesting. He talks to her like he says she's hot and stuff, but he also like has conversations, and you see her interactions with other guys all throughout. How just typical when you're that good looking and you're that skilled and you're that on stage in the spotlight, you are constantly getting hit on, I'm sure. And it makes it a lot easier to see someone who's a little bit different.
And he like compliments her immediately on the music, like, you guys wail, but it's
right.
He is kind of just complimenting her like she's any other musician.
Yes, right.
Isn't like,
For
I'm
a
not
girl.
usually into chick bands, but
Exactly.
So he asks, can I call you? And she's like, you can come to my show. How about that?
I also like how she's guarded like that. That's not the first and only person she says, yeah, get a flyer at the door. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's like, well, she will be mine. Oh, yes. But she has to go because the club owner's trying to dick her out of some money.
I did not know what that meant as a kid. And now I'm like, that must be Cantonese. And it's like, oh, okay. So, and then you see her over there fighting with the club owner. And and he's like, that's hot too.
Well, you hear her say, you see how many people I brought in. And
right.
this is again, the man, the owner of the club, the owner of Capital being like, no, I'm going to try to screw you any way I possibly can. And the only way you can, you just have to fight back as hard as you can.
Well, and you know that the female is a lead singer, and until you meet her in person, you probably also think she's someone you can exploit. So they bring in the shitty Beatles and the Jolly Green fuck idiots, and it's like, oh yeah, and then a chick band. But you're not fucking over this chick.
Yeah, that's why I say, like, there's exploitation in every corner of this movie.
Yeah.
If you're looking for it.
You're really
and we know how to look, and you
my eyes.
don't. That's why you listen. I'm just kidding.
I thought I was in trouble for a second, but we're talking to the audience. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So we check in with Rob Lowe, and he's meeting with Brian Doyle-Murray as Noah Vanderhoff.
Brian Doyle-Murray.
And
I always forget he's related to Bill Murray. And then I remember, and then I'm so excited. I want to go to Thanksgiving.
You forget all over again.
Yeah. I want to go to Thanksgiving.
I think he's Bill Murray's half brother. So
he's the good half.
Yeah, the good half. Russell is Kurt Fuller. He's the producer, and he's going to professionalize Wayne's World. Oh, well, their pitch to Brian Doyle-Murray is like, I know you love doing your TV commercials, but if you had a weekly spot on a TV show that catered to your customers, you could really like keep them up to date about the gelatinous cube games and stuff. And he's like, wow.
Which is this is great because you've got the ultimate capitalist selling to the guy who's like, I fell into really good business. That means I'm a good businessman. And like, he's selling you something so stupid. What could be so crucial at an arcade? If either people like going to arcade or they don't. They don't need the newest version of a game to be pulled there. So it's like, if I could pay for a weekly spot on a TV show to say nothing interesting, it's like he's selling him something he does not need.
That's not true. I mean, if you're getting new, how often are you getting new games though? Is the thing.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Oh, okay.
Arcade technology moved like a snail compared to what happens now. I mean, I'm saying he's got enough of a successful arcade that he's got more than one. That means kids are going to it. That's all you need. There's nothing more to do. Mm-hmm. You done it. It's a small town. You've got everyone that's coming.
Why does Coca-Cola stay number one? Because
but you said it's in every corner of this movie, and I would just like you to. Noah is also being had.
Oh, yes.
He's being sold something that is making him look like an idiot.
And something that, and you see Rob Lowe, who's so good as, Rob Lowe's great in this movie.
He makes it his idea.
So, Rob Lowe, the actor, is great as the most sleazy Rob Lowe kind of character.
It took me years to like Rob Lowe in any capacity because this is all I knew him for, and I couldn't unsee it. Fucking hated Rob Lowe, which is probably why I avoided all Brad Pack movies with him in it. Fuck that guy.
And I think this was like the beginning of his comeback after he had the thing with having sex with a 16-year-old.
Oh, I was saying, like I have any idea. I thought you meant after the Brat Pack.
After the Brat Pack, after that whole thing.
He thought he was still a brat.
Where he had he was
sex tape. 24 years old at a time.
Yeah, sex tape where he was having sex with two women. One was 22, the other was 16 years old. Yes. And it wasn't illegal because she was at the age of consent where it was filmed. But this was a big thing. Oh, and then, he also had that thing where he sang with Snow White at the Oscars. That was a big hit for him. A big negative hit for him.
Big hit in the career. The guy who plays Russell, I feel like I always enjoy him as an actor.
But yeah, he does the great thing. The great way to sell somebody is like, so if I'm hearing you correct, you're saying that a weekly TV spot would be a great opportunity for you to sell your arcade. And he's like, like, well, I think you're a very smart man for thinking that.
I mean, because the first thing Noah says to him in this meeting is like, kids are easy. Kids I got. Like he does know what he's talking about, but this guy just outthinks him.
Right. And like you said, he doesn't bring much of a value other than owning the arcades, but that's way more value than what Rob Lowe does, which is just a middleman. I'm just like, I just connect you to this guy, and I'm somehow the one who ends up with the most money. So they find out where Wayne's World is produced, and they go to the basement, and they take Wayne and Garth out to a tiki restaurant. And he's like, guys, I think your show is great, but I think you're capable of so much more. And I love Garth saying, well, we'll try harder.
You can't just end us.
And he's brought over a contract and 2 checks for $5,000 each, even though he knows they're both artists and they don't want to accept it, just in the off chance they did. $5,000 in 1992 is worth $11,400 today. But Garth is the one who's immediately a little skeptical and has the camera follow him down under the table so that he could say it seems a little weird.
That he brought checks.
Yeah.
That it would need to be this instant.
But then Garth figures something out and then gets distracted and kind of forgets. Because he's like, do you ever see that episode of The Twilight Zone where the guy signs a contract and they cut his tongue out and they put the tongue in a jar and the tongue gives birth to other tongues? That was pretty cool. Anyway.
He's like, because he's on to something and it's like, but I also like talking about this other thing.
That's the most Beavis and Butthead thing is they often get close to figuring something out and then can't take the next step. So they sign, they sell out.
Before we go on and pass this iconic scene up, I will point out that there's no one in the history of people born during the time it was to appreciate this movie who have ever received $5,000 and did not then sing, we got $5,000. We got $5,000. People say that you will now notice it.
I'm not seeing that many people get $5,000.
Yeah, but you'll know when they do because they will sing this song.
This is just so much more of an iconic movie for you than it is for me. But I know I'm in the mood. It's a huge movie for everybody.
Yes, but you've probably been witnessing people quoting it your whole life. Why would you notice it?
Well, I noticed it when it was Schwing or...
Well, it's Schwing. Yep. Schwing.
Like Lacey said, selling out was a very Gen X fixation.
Still is. I mean, that generation still feels that way. It's like once you're like, it's entrenched. I mean, and it was still kind of lingering because I'm an older millennial. For me, with calling everyone a goddamn poser.
I'm much more sympathetic to selling out, to criticizing people for selling out than I am for criticizing phonies or posers.
Yeah, that was the residue that we dealt with was phony posers.
Yeah, and I was so terrified of being called a poser.
Yes, it was the fucking worst. That's why I thought I couldn't even admit to liking a band until I knew the song names. And you know how bad I am at that.
Yeah, you're
and
bad.
And like learning names of people and like the names of the people in the band. I was terrified. And I could really, 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 really like a band. That's why I have 3, Matt. 3 bands that I would ever admit to because there was all my brain could take in.
Right. That's why when we were recording at the studio the other day and Lacey was singing and did an incredible job, and you'll hear it soon. Wade, who was there with us, we were trying to, give you some direction and some inspiration. And I shouted to you, "You're Jonathan Davis." And then Wade said to me, "Jonathan Davis?" And I was like, all right, don't worry about it. Because it's
my touchstone.
It's one of 3 singers she knows from bands.
I know a lot of singers, but because those were my safe places, my well-versed, I had a vocabulary around those bands. You knew enough to know that would make me feel, oh, he's good at singing.
You're Andy Hull from Manchester Orchestra. Like, yeah, that wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work.
Yeah.
I don't like the name Andy either.
But yeah, selling out, it was the Gen X thing because like they could see the world is kind of rotting right now, and I'm not going to be part of that. I will not take the next step of like maybe we should do something about it.
Right, because they were also slackers, and they would have been coming of age during that Reagan thing, right? That we saw in American History X. Nope, American Psycho. So yeah, they had to. They were watching capitalism develop. Oh, my brain.
Devour everything.
Yeah.
Sink its tendrils into everything. You're losing things you used to have.
Things you didn't think would go anywhere.
Things
and it just takes a charismatic, popular, good-looking man in the White House to want it or to be puppeted into saying it.
So
Can I say a very dyslexic thing here? All right, so now we're on the roof scene. Cassandra is impressed that he came to the flyer. You know, he took the flyer, said he was coming, and he showed up. And so when he's like, can we go talk somewhere? She's like, sure, you did what you said you're going to do. You know, like I can see.
yeah.
those-
But Rob Lowe also tries to goes to that show and introduces himself to her.
And she's like, get a flyer at the door, right? Because he's trying to immediately go with the whole like, I can offer you something. You know, you could really, with my help. She's probably like, okay, I don't need your fucking help. You know what I mean? Like she's probably heard that a million times. But doesn't he say a word like a dog whistle word? What does he say to her? Calls her exotic or something that is like, all right, get the fuck out of my face.
I don't think he said exotic.
It's not exotic, but it's something like that where it's like I'm watching it now. I'm like, yep, she had her freaking hackles up for that. Hackles?
Yeah, hackles. I don't know.
Sure.
Cackles.
Okay, so they're on the roof, and I know they're about to have a whole conversation where there's going to be subtitles, and I know for a fucking fact I never read those in my life. This was the first time, and I'm like, oh, he's insightful. And then when she's laughing, I just assume she was laughing at him as a kid because he was like really doing the accent, like making funny noises because I'm, you know, a stupid idiot American. And I'm like, no, he's saying something funny and insightful at those moments. So she's laughing. Go figure. I was just like, wow.
Yes. Now, but the joke also is like, but it's funny that Cantonese sounds funny, doesn't it?
I don't think so. I think it's more that he is so fucking like educated, like in saying stuff about philosophers and shit. And I think the joke is like, come on, would Wayne also be able to?
That's the joke too.
Yeah.
But you know, Mike Myers is like at a base level. It's funny to hear a white man do this voice and
earnestly. Yeah.
It will kind of sound like I'm making fun of it because I'm just doing. I'm saying these words.
Well, that makes it less meaningful for me. But yeah, I'm sure he got to have it both ways.
You get to have it exactly both ways. Because yeah, he's way more eloquent. Because he says something simple. She's like, oh, wow, that sounds so good. And then they start talking about like she's engaging in self-nullifying behavior and it's really sad to see. And
okay, well, that's my next point is that when there's someone this attractive in a movie at this, especially during this time, they did not get to have a life outside of like the person they're introduced to in the movie, your hero. She has so much going on. She has a entirely separate life that you can see. She's talking to people in her band when he's there. Like she's going off to shoot a music video that he doesn't seem to know everything about, even though they're in a relationship. It's just like all this very nice, like, and she's super smart. Like it's not unearned. Like it doesn't happen so fast. You're like, what are they seeing each other? She's super thoughtful in this conversation and what the advice she's giving to him. And I never knew that as a kid because I refused to read.
well, did you when you were not reading as a kid, did you get the joke of him? He stops talking and the subtitles continue.
Yes.
Okay. I could not get a straight answer on. I assumed they did the work of actually getting Cantonese, real
They had to.
Cantonese, and spelling it out phonetically for them. And you know, Tia Carrere is not a Cantonese speaker,
Right.
either, or I don't think she is. Well, she was from Hawaii, but maybe her parents are. But I could not get a straight answer whether Mike Myers is actually doing real Cantonese or if he's just making sounds.
It just seems like it would be so undercutting what they're trying to do. I don't know. Yeah. If he's just making sounds, he's making very convincing ones. And if you're trying to make a joke with those sounds, you'd think they'd be a little more generic.
On The Simpsons, they always made a big deal of getting actual, if they would do Chinese or Japanese or Hindi, they would get an actual translation at a time where no one would notice people would notice, but there was no internet for people to complain about it. Yeah, I would think they did that, but again, I don't know. And like there's Reddit boards about this where Cantonese Spheeris themselves are sort of arguing he doesn't make any sense. No, he's making sense to me. So it's like it's not a straightforward thing that you can get an answer to.
Right, like maybe they had a dialect coach, but it was just some guy, right? Like just some guy from a specific part of Asia that like, this is how my family would have said this. So maybe like not everyone's in agreement that it was perfectly right, but they didn't do all the work they needed to do, but they did make an effort.
Right. And they said, this person on Reddit said Rob Lowe is the best, is better than Mike Myers at speaking Cantonese.
I could, sure.
So
Rob Lowe's better at everything.
There's a lovely scene with Garth and Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very proud of myself for saying Wayne and not Wade, my friend who I talk about a lot. But yeah, Wayne lying on the hood of the car, just staring at the stars, and Garth whistles the most beautiful Star Trek theme.
And Wayne is in such awe of his friend. And this has got to just be something Dana Carvey knows how to do.
I don't think he's doing it.
Are you sure? He's like vibrating and everything.
Well, it's definitely not. Then you're definitely not hearing what they recorded on set.
Oh, okay, fine.
And then he's like, sometimes I wish I could boldly go where no man's gone before, but I'll probably stay in Aurora. What are you thinking about? Cassandra. It's funny. It's so nice that they would like ask each other, what are you thinking
Yeah.
about? Cassandra, she's such a babe. They describe how babelicious she is. And then Garth asks, did you ever find Bugs Bunny attractive when you put a dress on and play a girl bunny? And they both start laughing their asses off, but Garth is a little bit.
Right, because of course he asked the question because I think lots of guys found the girl version of Bugs Bunny attractive. She was supposed to be. But it has always disturbed me, and it disturbed me this time too. Mike Myers' laugh, it's a disturbing laugh. Is it supposed to be menacing? Because I think we're supposed to feel I think we're supposed to feel a little bit like dejected like Garth does here. And I don't know. I always took it as like, Wayne can be a little bit
Maybe
obtuse sometimes.
Yeah, no, I mean, and what he does when Garth actually gets mad at him, I am with you. I think Wayne is an asshole to not include Garth on leaving the show.
Right.
But then this plane flies over. I don't know if this is something people can you actually drive up so close to an airport that you can do this? If so, we need to do it. It looks awesome.
And I guarantee you that this movie caused that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. They go over to the TV studio. And I love how big a deal they make out of you don't say, you count down 5, 4, 3. You don't say the 2 and the 1.
Right.
And
like Wayne, you're still mouthing it. Oh, sorry.
yeah, I love them. I love them not being able to stop themselves from nodding along. Now, when I worked on a public TV show, there were some issues with my boss, who was not a trained TV guy. He did not know how to not look into the camera when he talked, instead of like looking at the guest who is on the table with him, or he was very bad at reading the teleprompter. It is weird. It is an unnatural thing to do.
But if you'd read the script a couple times before, the teleprompter is a prompt, not your script.
Well,
you know?
I mean,
but I love the green screen part of "Hookalaka, come on, you want to lay me? Pass the point, mahalo. Come on, tell me where we are, and I'll tell you what they say.
Delaware.
Hi, I'm in Delaware.
What do they say in New York?
Hey, let's go to a Broadway show. Pass the gun. Hey, I don't remember. Hey, yo, pass the gun. We're going to a Broadway show. Something like that.
So the Vanderhoffs, Mr. Vanderhoff and his wife arrive, and Mr. Vanderhoff sits down at the couch with Wayne, and he's my favorite line in the movie. Wayne, I used to be in meatpacking. Lips and hoofs. I don't know. One of their friends tells him, hey, your wife's a babe, and they look a little pleased, like, oh, okay.
Yeah. The whole thing's lovely, and I love that Mr. Vanderhoff you never see him on screen find out that he was being made fun of, because I think he's also kind of a schmuck, or getting taken over here. And you meet his wife, and like he's totally happy whenever she gets a compliment. Like he's like, well, thanks.
No, they went home and had the best sex they've had in like 30 years.
It's a sweet relationship. He's a nice guy. He's fine. He's just a guy, and he's not the enemy. So he gets made fun of with the cards and everything, and it's really Benjamin that's getting stuck.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really about making fun of Mr. Vanderhoff.
Wayne and Garth play street hockey. Now there was a period in my neighborhood where kids did play street hockey, so as a retort to that Canadian writer who thumbed his nose at us Americans. We know about street hockey.
We certainly played Foursquare in the street, and anytime a car would come, like, car, game on. I mean, yeah, this is what everyone said.
And I love, this is just where Garth is like, you ever get the feeling Benjamin's not one of us? And Wayne's like, good call. It's as if Benjamin wants us to be liked by everyone. But another instance of them starting to notice something and then kind of just forgetting about it or just moving on.
All of this went over my head as a kid. All of it. I was like, wow, this is, all right. These guys are smart. And in my heads, they were like fumbled their way to a good result. Like they weren't, what am I trying to say? They weren't really driving it with intelligence, but then I watch and I'm like, oh no, they're smart the whole time.
Right. So that is the contrast to Beavis and Butthead,
Yeah.
who things happen to. They don't cause things to happen. All right. So there's a thing where Wayne picks up Cassandra. They're driving in the car and he just goes, hey, Mickey, you're so fine. And she seems charmed by that. And then they reach a little lull. And it's awkward for a second. Is it supposed to seem awkward?
No,
Like
they both realize in that moment that they are the same kind of nerd. And
yes, that's it.
Yes, they both get like tingles because they play the little swelling Dreamweaver music to just the very beginning of it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice. Yeah, because then he puts in a CD in his new CD player and they listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers and they don't say anything, but they seem happy. They get to the guitar store. They admire the Fender. He plays the "May I Help You" riff and gets the employee to come out and he's like, "Take the Strat out of the case."
My good man.
So I was on some guitar forums to learn about this guitar. It was indeed a vintage 1964 Fender Stratocaster. Fender was purchased in 1965 by CBS, the same CBS that produces television shows for your grandparents.
I thought you meant like a pharmacy, like CB.
And that is when Fender started doing assembly line production of its guitars, leading to right now guitars like every Fender I've ever owned, which is we call it in the music biz, we call it a Mexican Fender because it's produced assembly line style in Mexico, and that's why.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like a slur. Okay, glad.
No,
glad
just at a Mexican facility, and that's rather than the expensive ones which are made in America. But that's why people like me can afford to buy guitars, and yeah,
people like you, get out of here. You could afford this one too if you really wanted it.
No, I mean
people like you,
middle class people. Yes, pieces of shit, middle class kids. I'm not saying this
kids,
is
not you now. I'm just saying, don't poor mouth over there.
Well, okay, if I wanted to buy a $3,000 guitar, I could. That would be very ill-advised. We have other stuff we need to buy. So he gets the guitar out. He starts playing Stairway to Heaven, and the guy's like, hey, and points to the No Stairway to Heaven sign. And I think the only moment I dislike in the entire movie is Wayne then turning to the camera and saying, no stairway, denied. Just think like, hey, it is so much funnier if you just cut right after he points to the sign. But this is like the movie not having confidence that you understand that he just played Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Am I crazy?
Sure, but this is a problem with it being a load-bearing beam of mine. It's all baked in. It's like saying, wouldn't it be better if Grandma didn't have that back mole? I don't know. I kind of like it.
Garth starts playing Animal from the Muppet style drumming, and this is indeed Dana Carvey.
Yeah.
Drumming.
He famously can drum. He does it in some of his shows, in some of his comedy. He weaves that in.
Oh,
he can also.
Hilarious.
No, I know it's not. I just know that he can, so I'm assuming that's where I've seen it, because he also plays piano.
Sounds hilarious.
No,
too.
he's Dana Carvey has an amazing stand-up special. I assure you.
And my dad has described many of them to me.
Chop and broccoli. Everyone still says chop and broccoli. He makes very funny songs, and he has funny Beatles joke while he plays piano. You'd like it. Fuck off.
Oh, but the thing about the guitar forms, this guitar, this is not a poor splurge for Wayne. If he held on to it, it'd be worth $20,000 today. So how about that?
Well, he didn't buy a case too, so I'm nervous for the guitar the whole time.
And he is just playing it everywhere. He's playing it at the donut shop.
People are going to take it from you.
At the craft services table, Rob Lowe comes up and he's like, guys, we need a change for the show that we've never done before. But we're going to make a change. Mr. Vanderhoff is going to be on the show every week. And then they start having the debate about selling out while products are in every single shot. And what do you think about this, Lacey? Is this funny?
I found it funny then. And now I find it funny as a time capsule just to see the old Pepsi can, the old Doritos bag.
The Doritos bag.
The phase of Reebok where it wasn't at Walmart, the majority of Reebok's life, it being a name brand, and now it's found a new life.
So when we get to the non-sexual sexual encounter between Wayne and Cassandra, I wrote down Wayne and Garth in my notes. Wayne and Garth, where they're in her bed, mostly clothed and just goofing on each other. Like, yes, of course, people goof.
I love it. This is my dad's favorite scene. Him humping the mummy. Or the knight, whatever it is. Not a mummy. Is it a mummy?
A mannequin?
Is it a mannequin? In my head, it was a mummy or a knight.
You have a mummy. She gets on the phone and he has to start doing physical comedy bits because it's like attention's not on me for a second. I need, no, pay attention to me. And this is when I realized Mike Myers must have been unbearable to date. Like charming for 2 days. And then he probably just becomes so mean and toxic once he no longer wants to do the bits or the bits aren't working on you anymore.
Yeah, well, now I'm uncomfortable. I always found their love very sweet.
Yeah, it is very sweet. I'm just saying, what do you think they're like 6 months from now?
Well, now all I know is Mike Myers is hard to be around, and I don't like it. You've ruined it for me. Is he married? Does someone like him? Are they okay?
I don't know.
Okay.
Gratuitous sex scene, it says on screen, as they very much do not have sex.
Which is the joke.
Oh, it's a joke.
Yeah, it's a funny movie. Because they are all being courted by Benjamin, they all go to a dinner. I guess this is really just a way for him to get Cassandra to see his apartment and to see he can speak Cantonese and all this shit. Because how else would you? She's too smart to accept an invitation up to his penthouse alone. And that's when, anyway, it's a beautiful terrace and he can speak words and all that shit. And then Garth again is like, this is weird. And he's like, what is going on with this? He's too good. And he goes and sits down and checks out the book collection. Is like, how to get babes, how to fuck. I don't know. It's funny. What else? What are they discussing here? I don't even remember what this dinner is for, except for to show how cool Benjamin is.
A toast to all of our success. Wayne and Garth, I've bought you backstage passes to Alice Cooper tomorrow night in Milwaukee.
Okay, it was to disarm all of them because he's about to make his move to produce a music video with Cassandra with a really good excuse for why Wayne and Garth can't be there. They have to travel to go see this once in a lifetime opportunity concert, and they couldn't be more excited, and she's so excited for them, and she's pumped about her music. It's very, Benjamin, well played.
Mm-hmm.
I'm buying
but it's also like, if you play in Milwaukee, of course you're going to play in Chicago the next night, and he didn't get them tickets he needed them to go far away.
Right.
And he can't speak great Cantonese. Why don't I order Chinese? And of course, when you order Chinese food in America, you have to speak the language.
You just know the person on the other line is like, what?
Yeah.
I'm Mandarin. What?
And what he says is, I picked up some Cantonese when I worked briefly in the Orient. So he's even being a little racist in calling it that.
Yes. And then her music video is her in a jungle with a snake on her.
Yes.
It's like that.
You're right.
You wouldn't do that to a white person. I mean, I know Britney Spears does it, but that's because of this movie. There's no way she got that movie out.
That's an old idea, but it is like, it's not that you wouldn't do it with a white woman, but the fact that you're doing it with a non-white woman is like, you probably are like, ooh, that is exotic.
Yeah, yep. And she's so uncomfortable. You look hot. You look so smoking hot up there.
They go to Milwaukee and they just recreate Laverne and Shirley. I mean, this is like,
I love this scene.
Okay,
it's adorable.
It's nice. It's sweet to see them doing it, but I didn't realize like Family Guy. The difference between The Simpsons and Family Guy is Family Guy would also just be like, hey, let's literally just do Laverne and Shirley, whereas The Simpsons would be like, let's create something like Laverne and Shirley.
Yeah, but wait, The Simpsons is doing a spoof off of Wayne's World. Family Guy. Family Guy isn't doing Laverne and Shirley because of Laverne and Shirley. Doing because of this. It's an exact
I didn't
replica.
specifically mean Laverne and Shirley.
Well, I'm letting you know.
The only joke
scene.
is we are just literally recreating something from TV.
I mean, look, we're two guys. We're being silly girls. Yeah. I take it as a celebration of it. I take it as them saying like, no, this show actually was ahead of its time and kicked ass, and it was about like these really capable women. And maybe if you watch two guys doing it, you'll take it a little more seriously. And I'll bet they did make it a little more popular. Everything in this movie they managed to make a little more popular. But they even gave a boost to Alice Cooper's career.
Well, yeah, because they go to Alice Cooper and it's presented like this is the biggest fucking concert in the world. Alice Cooper,
it was he was a huge deal. He just didn't leave as big of a
in 1992.
For what he was, that's what I'm saying. Because he was not a controversial person. He wasn't really the character Alice Cooper when he was off of stage. He didn't like overstay his welcome in his career. It's like because he actually did everything the right way, he kind of gets forgotten. He didn't go then do a reality show like fucking Ozzy Osbourne, and he's not a terrible, like a horrible lech like fucking Kiss, and who could not stop touring. It's kind of what this movie's about, right? Like Alice did it for as long as he probably should have, and then stopped.
I think he is a huge conservative, though.
Damn it!
Well, people are allowed to be conservative. It's okay.
Well, but you present it as though it's not. I love him for this movie.
No, I know, but if you look up Alice Cooper quote, I'm sure we will find stuff and be like, oh no.
I'm going to now.
But this was written for Aerosmith because Aerosmith had been in a Wayne's World sketch on SNL and they didn't want to do it, so they got Alice Cooper instead.
Fuck him. I've always hated that guy.
Aerosmith, I know it's the thing about Aerosmith is like, boy, they had a lot of different eras where they were relevant. It really is remarkable. In 1992, they still would have been huge. They would have been like, we had a dip in the 80s and we came back in the late 80s and were more popular than we've ever been and are still producing songs that are chart-topping hits, which is insane.
That's
and that would continue all the way through Jaded in 2001, which was also a huge hit. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
But this is Alice Cooper.
Anyway, and I just feels like it had to be in Milwaukee because there's a whole Milwaukee thing that people can never, ever not say if someone says the word Milwaukee.
And he has a great delivery of, isn't Milwaukee an Indian name?
Well, actually, Brad, it's not.
Well, yes, it is, Pete.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that. Alice is great in this scene. I had a huge affection for him because of this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he's very funny.
Mm-hmm. And then whenever we're not worthy, which is their bit that they do on SNL, and he perfectly goes, kiss the ring. Yeah.
So they launched the show.
I'm sorry.
Of the show.
I talked about this scene as though it had already happened. The Sphincter Boy one. I thought when they went and saw them in the studios when that happened, I didn't realize it was another scene.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot.
The new corporatized Wayne's World, which honestly I think is pretty cool. I think the intro song's really cool.
Yeah, but if you're used to seeing them on public access and all of a sudden they have that voiceover guy and this, it's all too much. It's too many things.
Yeah, but you see, like Wayne would be able to handle it. Garth would not. Garth is there's an announcer now, and he's like, "So your name is pronounced Garth Algar, right?" And he's like, "Okay,
he's
Wayne."
He's like, "Okay." But I always thought the joke was that guy didn't know how to pronounce Garth. I'm like, his name's not Algar, and then. Now as an adult, I understand he has a last name.
But, anytime you and I, Lacey, have to do something on this podcast that isn't like our normal thing, we also get flabbergasted and sputter and fight with each other and can't do it.
Correct.
It is hard. This is really hard to do this.
They're not in on the process. All these things are being done without consulting them, or they're not absorbing that it's happening. And it's just too much at once. It's not done with their brand in mind.
But Wayne writes insults on the back of his cue cards. He holds the cue cards up so everybody can see, and he gets tons of laughs.
You know what I never noticed? They are in late night TV chairs setting, like a sofa with a chair. But they're still set in what looks like a basement. They didn't keep the sofas.
Right. They didn't keep the sofa.
Yeah, that's a fucking weird change.
Mm-hmm. So Rob Lowe's like, Wayne, come and talk to me. And Wayne's like, I just did what I always do. And it's true. They always treat the guests like this and everybody's happy. The guests are fine with it.
You're not going to run shit by me and I'm not going to run shit by you. And if you actually watched more than one episode of my public access show, you'd know that this is what I do.
And it's also, I know everybody knows this. This always happens. Somebody like that's what Howard Stern's movie was all about is why did you hire me if you hired me to do something that I don't do?
Right.
That's just a bad decision on your part. You're going to lose a lot of money because no one's going to like me the way you want me to be. Mm-hmm. But he just fires Wayne right away and he's like, what? And you can't take your show because I own the show. And then Wayne just leaves, leaving Garth alone on the sofa. And it's so sad for Garth.
Yeah.
I'm having a great time. Not. I remember this being a lot longer, that we had to watch Garth flail on by himself for a lot longer. But I read the Siskel and Ebert book last year. It's a great book by Matt Singer, and they started as a public access TV show or public television TV show, and they kept like bumping up, like they'd won a new contract because they were very big, and several times they'd go to the network and the network would be like, we own At the Movies or we own whatever their show was called and we can do it without you. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. And they would just go start a brand new TV show, call it something else. But it's like, yeah, people don't care what it's called. They care about the people on screen. And that's always something that like Suits seem to not understand.
Mm-hmm. All right, we'll call it Garth's World now, bitch.
So Garth tells Wayne that Wayne really pissed him off tonight. He's like, Garth, you've never been mad at anything before in your life. But yeah, Wayne just...
I find that hard to believe.
Wayne walked off the set without telling Garth or going to get him and being like, come on, Garth.
And it seems like they're going to have like an easy reconciliation. They just have such an easy friendship, such a natural one. But Wayne does not take criticism well. And Garth has a very valid complaint. And Wayne immediately gets immature with him. And all Wayne can think about is that he lost his show. He's not seeing that he could just recreate the show like you're talking about. And yeah, I mean, there's a big deal. I think something big happened to both of them. It's just that Garth had to sit with it longer and get embarrassed. And like, he's already a person who has trouble with being alone in front of stuff and in front of an audience. I don't know. I feel like they both have valid reasons to be upset here. They just needed to kind of, they've never had any kind of confrontation or need to have a fight. So, they just don't have the reps. But
it is like that friendship where you're like, God, my best friend is perfect. Never has an opinion, never speaks up, never has a problem with anything. I just love him so much.
Laughs
and then finally
at my jokes. Right.
He says one thing and you're like, whoa, man.
Yeah, no, yeah. And and you have to, that doesn't mean that person, that means that you guys have a really good understanding and get who each other are. That's not a mistake that you don't really fight often. It's just, there's probably a more dominating person than a person who's down to be there for the ride. And I don't know. But
I was relieved that they go their separate ways, but they reconcile very, very quickly because I was
right. It's like we don't need a lot of
assuming like, there's going to be the moment where they get in the fight, but the movie gets really past it really quickly.
Yeah.
Then Wayne goes to Cassandra's apartment. She's leaving for Chicago, and he's like, "Wait, God, will Benjamin be there?" And she's like, "Yeah, he will. Maybe he's poking you."
And that's insulting.
Yes. And she says, "I think you better leave." And Wayne goes out and asks the camera, he's like, "What's going on? I lost my girl, my best friend, my show." And even the camera guy gets mad at him and starts walking.
And I love it because he's like, whoa. It's not all as bad as it seems. It's instantly positive again. Like, this movie knows what it's doing right. We want to see happy guys.
Yes. And so Wayne sees Garth at the donut shop. He sits down next to him. He's like, "I'm sorry, I was wrong. Buds. That's it.
That's it. And now they hatch a plan at the hockey-inspired donut place, and the entire town rallies around them. And I think it's so fucking cute.
It is.
I love it. And then they have their little Mission Impossible moment where Garth is, "I'm on my keys." Ow. 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 I love it. And I guess all they're doing is just getting the equipment they need to run the show in the basement again.
Well, they're gonna do their show again from the basement. What they want to do is have Cassandra's band play on the show, and then they met Chris Farley at the
Alice
Cooper show, who said, "Here's some helpful information about that limo." And
Mr. Big,
an important record executive, drives around in there, and he'll be swinging through Chicago soon.
Right, but I think what they needed from the studio was something powerful enough to boost their signal so that he could get something
they need to
had
hack a satellite and jack into a mainframe and stuff.
Right, they jacked it to the main.
So Wayne goes, he's on his way to go, win Cassandra back at her music video shoot, but first gets pulled over by Robert Patrick from Terminator 2.
Which I did not get. If I had a complaint as a kid, I'm always like, that scene could be removed. It doesn't go anywhere. And why did he? And they show the picture of the boy, and I pause it, and when you pause the VHS, it's like, and like, who is
makes
that?
Even less sense.
Who is? I don't like. I fucking hate it. And my dad wasn't being fucking helpful because he'd never seen the fucking Terminator 2 movie. Fucking idiot.
But now you know. You just watched it relatively recently.
Yeah, that was helpful.
Did you like it?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, because when we did our episode on it 5 years ago, you said, "This is stupid. Put on a bra."
No, I got over it. The bra. I don't love that she didn't. Don't bait me. She needs a bra, but I saw her badassness, and shut up, Matt. I'm not talking about this right now.
It's so great that he Robert Patrick just totally plays the character and just continues to walk menacingly. Yeah, there's no reason for this scene. That's why it's great.
fine, but when you don't know what it's a reference to, it's really confusing.
And he did this again in Last Action Hero 2 years later. I think he might have played this character again in something else as
Do
a
you
joke.
think at cons he just pulls people over who are walking around the
Yes,
con?
I do. He's probably he's like, I've been working as an actor for 50 years. I was on the X-Files, God damn it. But yeah, I'm just the liquid Terminator to you people. So Wayne arrives at the music video shoot, but his attempts to what happens? He's like, he tries to win her back, but she's like, Wayne, I think you should leave. And then Rob Lowe like touches her butt or something.
Well, no. So Wayne swoops in there and he's making the mistake again of not acting like she's capable. He's like, he comes up there like he's saving her when she's fine. She's just having an aggravating music shoot. Nothing's going wrong or right. But he comes up in there and he's trying to be a controlling boyfriend, which is not what she's going to have. And come on, we're going. Like I'm in the middle of this shit. And anyway, it's quick. But it's not ugly. It's just not what you think is going to happen when they're on their hero's journey. So he's not mean or anything. He's just he's not convincing. But there's still charm there. Oh, right. Then he starts to break down, right? Like, I'm not all right. Like he does a whole, he does a whole Oscar thing, right? Where he pours his heart out and they do the joke where at the end of it, everyone's just staring at him and like, right. And they move on. And then that's why he turns around and goes, right. Okay. I was wondering, why does she forgive him so quickly and so immediately? But she does it on her terms. Okay. Then he walks away, but he doesn't leave yet. And Benjamin walks up to her to console her by saying he's so replaceable or something, not the right thing. And then the snake goes down from out of Benjamin's hand and down her shirt. And she says, "Is that you? Or the snake?" And she realizes in that moment they are one and the same.
He is the snake that has infiltrated our garden.
Yes. And so she's like, Wayne, wait, no, Campbell, wait up. I sound just like her.
And when I came up with this Garden of Eden thing, I totally forgot about the snake.
Yeah. But he's even dressed they look alike, the snake and Benjamin.
You're right. They do. And this is, okay, that was a great point you just made, that Wayne is like, you're like a lady who doesn't even realize you're being duped. This isn't an actual music video shoot. Where's your band? She's like, they're right there.
Hey, Wayne. It's like,
there's no camera. There's no film in this camera. And then film.
Yes, that was it. Okay, sorry. I know this movie so well and I couldn't remember. I just knew he made an unconvincing thing and that it was insulting. It's like, no, I'm good enough for someone to offer me a music video. But in this industry, that also means I'm going to get hit on. And maybe sometimes my deal will crumble because I don't respond to it, but I'm just going to fuck who I want to, whether it gets me the deal or not. And I need to be trusted because I'm not going to stop being hot and I'm not going to stop being good at singing and wanting to sing for a living.
And a woman director would know that there'd be a dumb little patronizing thing of even though I guess he is a TV guy. So he's like, you're going to come onto a set and tell me I don't actually know what's going on the set, that I don't know that it's not a real set, that it's a fake set, it's a fake shoot.
Right. Who Benjamin has money, but why would he do this just to get in her pants? And she's just not stupid. She did all of this carefully, and she needs to. She sees how much he cares because then he's never afraid to act really freaking stupid and have big gestures, and that makes him very unique to her. So she's training him.
Mm-hmm. She goes with him,
teaching him.
Then we see the Garth leading the assault team to hack into the satellite, and Russell, Rob Lowe's partner, finds them. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And Garth even wins him over, and he's like, "Benjamin sucks. He's just using you." And see, everybody becomes their friend. Everybody becomes their ally. They're like they're Fast and Furious. Yeah. Every enemy eventually joins the Toretto family because you just have to. What are you going to not do it? Even Rob Lowe does it in the last shot of the movie.
Right.
Rob Lowe gets sexually assaulted by the cop, and then the last
very humbling for him.
Sequence of the movie is Mr. Big watching Cassandra perform in Wayne's basement, and he arrives at the house and shakes her hand. He's like, "You're very beautiful, and I congratulate you, but I'm just not interested," and then leaves. And they're all like, "Wait, what? What the fuck is going on?" No.
Yeah.
The house catches on fire. It explodes. It burns down, and then we cut to an island where Cassandra and Benjamin have just had the most epic sex of all time. They're still talking about it the next
You
morning.
were incredible. Blech.
And then they're like, oh, this isn't any good. Let's try the Scooby-Doo ending. And so they do. They
do
pull
a
Rob
gag.
Lowe's mask off, and he's the amusement park owner who had been set up earlier in the movie.
Yes,
And,
he had.
Let's try it one more time with the mega happy ending. This time, Cassandra gets a 6-album deal. Wayne and Cassandra kiss. The Dream Woman arrives to kiss Garth. And then even Rob Lowe's like, and I've learned that, something. Consumerism isn't everything.
Right. And then they ended with fish ears, which I guess, gotcha. You're easy to catch. I don't know what the fuck fish ears are,
They
but
must have done it in the sketch show.
I had to have.
Because they would do the things like extreme close-up. Yeah. So just do that, and then the movie's just over. That's that.
Yep.
Go home. Fuck you.
Are you still here?